Exactly 1 year ago, me and two of my friends said fuck it. And we bought a van and we went on a trip across Canada. And that experience has genuinely changed my life. And there's probably a gazillion people on your feed telling you to do it. There's probably a gazillion cinematic videos of like road tripping across the US and all that stuff on your feed. But I want to talk with you like straight today about some reasons why you should do it that maybe you don't expect that much. The first reason is when you hit the road, when you get in that car and you start, you know, getting on the highway and seeing some new stuff, one of the first things that you realize is that you live in a freaking bubble. Your whole life has been like this whole like Truman Show type thing. You've been just squared off in a little part of the world and you've just been brainwashed by society, the world, whatever you want to call it, to think that that's how life is. But even in my own country, I found out some different ways of life that are completely different from what I do and from the way we live here. And so once you hit the road and you get far enough from your place and you start meeting new people and interacting with people at a bar or at a fishing spot or whatever, you'll realize that you live in a freaking bubble. And every single stress, every single worry, every single source of anxiety that you have will just become irrelevant to you. I'm not saying that you won't be anxious ever again in your life, but you'll realize that you have more than one option. There's so many different ways to live. Even today, I feel like we're all more connected than ever with social media and all that stuff, but I also feel like we're more disconnected than ever. Every single thing we see on our feed just shows us the highlight reels and the best parts of everything, and it almost doesn't even feel real. We don't even take it seriously. We don't see it as an actual way of living. We rather see it as just a piece of entertainment. So once you actually get out there, instead of just like watching TikToks, you'll realize how many options you really have. And you don't even, it'll blow your mind how incredibly various opportunities and careers can be. The second reason I would highly advise you to go on a trip like that is because you'll have the fucking time of your life. And that might seem a little shallow at first, but let me add a layer to that. You'll have the time of your life after the trip. Not saying that you won't have fun at all during the trip, but most of the time, if you do it like I did, which is like just set up a tent on the side of the road and don't book hotels and stuff, like have a banged up Ford Escape 2009, you'll realize that a lot of the shit that you go through during the trip are going to be very uncomfortable. Very, very, very uncomfortable. From sleeping in hammocks with rattlesnakes in fucking Ontario to sleeping soaking wet in the car on Vancouver Island with a bunch of live crabs at my feet because we went fishing for crabs and we put them in a bag, and obviously you can't kill them because they're going to go bad. So we had to sleep in the car soaking wet from the rain with crabs, like in a bag obviously, but like moving at my feet. Anyways, there's a bunch of uncomfortable shit we had to go through. And again, there's a lot of really fun stuff that we did, but most of the uncomfortable things are what you're going to remember, and most of the uncomfortable things are going to be the fun things after. They're going to turn into fun stories to tell. I think that's an amazing life lesson there. For young people, it's like realize that a lot of the uncomfortable stuff turns out to be the best stuff at the end because you have cool stories to tell. It might sound a bit cliche to say like go live your life and experience stuff to have stories to tell, but it's so rewarding once you do it. I'm not saying it's rewarding to sleep with fucking crabs at your feet, but having those stories is just priceless, honestly. So it'll be fun, sure, but a lot of the time it's going to be really uncomfortable. But after the fact, it's going to be the best experience of your life, I promise. The third reason why I would highly recommend you take a trip like this is when you're on the trip, a lot of time you're going to want to be at home. Sounds stupid, but when you're at home working or at school, you dream about trips like this. You dream about like being free in nature and like I said, putting your tent or your hammock on the side of the road and just traveling the country in beautiful mountains and mountain goats or whatever. Like we saw a black bear, we saw a mama grizzly with her babies. Don't worry, we were in a car, so we were totally safe. But yeah, you dream about stuff like that when you're in school, when you're at work, when you're doing stuff at home here, where you live. But the weird thing is like when you're going to be out there, a lot of the time, like I said, it's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to wish you would be at home in your comfort zone. Not necessarily in the first week. I think in the first week, you're really going to enjoy that like first phase of like freedom. But then the more the trip goes on, the more you'll realize that like you really miss home and you really miss that comfort that came with it. So I think the lesson in that is like when you go on that trip and when you actually do the thing that you really, really crave, you'll realize that a lot of times we only crave what we don't have. It doesn't mean that it's not a good idea to go after it. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be as good as we think it will be. But when you get done with that trip and you come back here, you're going to want to go back out there. And that'll just unlock a little like mental switch where you'll be able to apply that logic and that lesson in 1,000 different places in your life. Let's say you want to switch jobs because you think that job is going to be better. I'm going to feel better at that workplace. And this is not very much my thing, that what I'm doing right now. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying like your mind will often deceive you into thinking that whatever you don't have is so much better than what you already have, when in reality is not necessarily the case. It's different for sure, but not better, not necessarily better. I'll tell you, after a month of being out there, we drove from Calgary to Montreal without sleeping, without stopping. Like we stopped for gas and food, obviously, but like 44 hours of driving, I think. There was 2 of us at that time. We drove all the way straight up to home. We were craving home so much. We were homesick, I think that's the word. And I just wanted to see my girlfriend and just go back to bed in my own bed here. It's just crazy how we always want what we don't have. And a trip like that will really, really teach you that. Like better than anything else, I think. So, of course, there's a billion other reasons why you should do it. But if you're hesitating right now, if you still have a trip like that stuck in the group chat and you don't think it's going to come out anytime soon, I would advise you first, like, try to convince your friends. And it's totally worth it. Like, take it from me, send in this video. And other than all the personal development stuff, there's a bunch of like other really cool shit that I did over there that I could never have imagined doing in my life. From fishing king salmon in the Pacific to fishing sockeye salmon with a bunch of Native Americans in their own reserve, to seeing like 3 moose on the highway. That was really sick. There's so many things that you'll experience that you just cannot buy and you cannot replicate on social media or whatever you're doing right now. You're scrolling on TikTok, on YouTube, whatever. Go out there and go experience the world, because there's just nothing like it. And if your friends decide not to go, or they just don't take action on it, go alone. Go alone or go with a new friend and whatever. Like, take your car or buy a car like I did, or rent it and try not to break it. It's going to be expensive. But get a car and just go drive out. You don't need to go across the country. You just need to get out of that little bubble that you live in. Maybe go to the next state or the next province or whatever. Start with that. Go alone and you'll meet new people and you'll have new friends with different mindsets, different ways of life. And that's just going to teach you so much, and it's going to be so fun, I promise you. So if you enjoyed this video, like I said, send it to your friends that are fucking lacking right now, that are not wanting to go on a trip, and try to convince them. And also, if you like to think about life in different perspectives, learn through other people's lenses, just get better at living, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I try to drop a video every week, minimum. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.